Imagine the chilling silence of the deep ocean, broken only by the hum of machinery and the ping of sonar. Now, imagine being trapped inside a steel tube, hundreds of feet beneath the waves, with 48 other men. This was the reality for the sailors of Germany's U-boat fleet during World War II, a force that came terrifyingly close to starving Great Britain into submission. Today, we're diving deep into their world, exploring what life was truly like inside these infamous iron coffins. At the heart of Germany's naval strategy was the U-boat, or Unterseeboot. These submarines were the wolves of the sea, tasked with a singular, ruthless mission: to sink Allied shipping and sever the vital supply lines that kept Britain in the war. For the young men who crewed them, it was a call to an existence unlike any other, a life of extreme pressure, both literally and figuratively. Let's meet one of these men, Hans Pfizer. Like many young Germans, Hans faced the looming prospect of being drafted into the army. Seeing the Navy as a less grim alternative to the trenches of the Eastern Front, he enlisted. Little did he know, his path would lead him not to the open decks of a mighty battleship, but into the claustrophobic confines of a U-boat. After rigorous training that pushed him to his physical and mental limits, Hans was assigned as a mechanic, a crucial role responsible for keeping the submarine's complex heart beating. The moment Hans first stepped inside his U-boat, the reality of his new home must have been a shock. Imagine a space barely 200 feet long and only about 20 feet wide at its broadest point. Now, cram 49 men into it. Every square inch was utilized. The corridors were so narrow that crew members had to turn sideways to pass each other. The air was thick with the smell of diesel fumes, unwashed bodies, and stale food. Personal space was a fantasy. Privacy was non-existent. Living quarters were a masterclass in extreme space saving. With only a limited number of bunks available, the crew practiced what they called hot-bunking. This meant that as one sailor finished his shift and crawled out of bed, another, weary from his own duties, would immediately take his place in the still warm bunk. It was a constant, restless cycle of work and sleep, with no real downtime. The bunks themselves were often crammed into any available nook, sometimes right next to humming machinery or even over the torpedo tubes in the bow. The command center, or zentrail, was the nerve center of the U-boat. Here, the captain, perched at the periscope, would hunt for his prey. It was a space filled with a dizzying array of dials, valves, and levers, all meticulously monitored by the crew. The tension in this room during an attack was palpable. The order to fire torpedoes would send a shudder through the entire vessel, followed by an agonizing wait. The crew would listen intently for the sound of an explosion, a sound that meant success but also sealed the fate of the sailors on the targeted ship. Life was a constant battle against the environment. When submerged, the air quality would steadily degrade. Carbon dioxide levels would rise, leaving the men feeling lethargic and gasping for breath. Condensation was a perpetual problem. The cold hull would cause moisture in the air to condense, dripping constantly on everything and everyone. Sweat from the walls would soak bedding, clothes, and equipment, creating a damp, clammy atmosphere that was impossible to escape. Mold would grow on any surface it could find, including the bread they ate. Food, as you can imagine, was another challenge. At the start of a patrol, the crew might enjoy fresh provisions, but these didn't last long. Soon, they were down to canned goods, sausages, and hard, mold-resistant bread. The limited galley was a tiny corner where the cook had to perform miracles. Everything was stored wherever space could be found, sausages hanging from the pipes, canned goods tucked under floor plates. Mealtimes were a brief respite, a moment of communal gathering, but even that was often interrupted by the call-to-action stations. And what about basic hygiene? A single toilet, or head, served the entire crew. Early in a patrol, with the submarine loaded to the brim with supplies, even this tiny space might be used for storage, forcing the crew to use designated containers. Fresh water was strictly rationed, used primarily for drinking and for the submarine's batteries. Showers were a distant memory. Washing was done with a damp cloth and saltwater soap, if at all. After weeks at sea, the stench inside the U-boat was overwhelming. The psychological toll was immense. The constant, terrifying threat of being detected by Allied destroyers was a heavy burden. The ping of an enemy sonar was the sound of impending doom. When under attack by depth charges, the experience was hellish. The U-boat would be violently shaken by nearby explosions. Lights would flicker and die, and pipes could burst. The metallic groans of the hull under pressure sounded like the screams of a dying beast. All the crew could do was stay silent at their posts, wait, and pray that the hull would hold. Many men developed a 1,000-yard stare, their nerves frayed by the relentless stress. Yet, amidst the misery, there were rare moments of relief. Surfacing at night under the cover of darkness was a chance to escape the foul air below. Men would crowd the deck, gulping in the fresh, salty sea air and gazing at the stars. It was a fleeting taste of freedom, a reminder of the vast world outside their steel prison. The captain might allow the gramophone to be played, filling the cramped quarters with music, a brief distraction from their grim reality. These small moments of camaraderie and normalcy were vital for morale, helping the crew endure the otherwise unbearable conditions. As the war progressed, the hunter became the hunted. Improved Allied technology, like radar and long-range patrol aircraft, made the Atlantic an incredibly dangerous place for U-boats. The happy time, as the Germans called the early, successful period of the war, was long over. The loss rate for U-boat crews was staggering, among the highest of any branch of the German military. For Hans and his comrades, every patrol was a gamble with death. Ultimately, the story of the U-boat is a tale of incredible human endurance under the most extreme conditions imaginable. It's a look into a world of constant tension, deprivation, and fear. While their mission was to bring a nation to its knees, the daily lives of the men aboard these submarines were a testament to the limits of human resilience, trapped in an iron coffin deep beneath the sea. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into history. If you found this journey as fascinating as we did, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more stories from the past. Let us know in the comments what piece of history you'd like us to explore next. We'll see you in the next video.